Yo, what's going on guys, it's Cynical and welcome back to another Kingdom Hearts 3 news and information video. Today for you guys, we're going to be sitting down and talking about the world layout for Toy Story within amongst Kingdom Hearts 3. Obviously, this is the most recent world reveal that we received for Kingdom Hearts 3, and it's definitely an interesting world. And I think when it comes down to the sheer world size, a lot of people want to know exactly where can we go, like what is the sort of limitations when it comes to this world, especially when looking at the outside scenes, like can we walk onto the road, can we go over to those other houses, are there chests and say Heartless spawns over there? Like how expansive is the Toy Story world, considering the fact that, you know, we're tiny little toy-sized figures. So far we've seen 3 different areas of the Toy Story world so far. The first one being Andy's room, secondly is outside of Andy's house, and the third area is within Vic the Visitor, which is the toy shop. Now thanks to the interviews from Dengeki as well as Famitsu sitting down and talking to Tetsuya Nomura, they actually talked about this exact thing, talking a little bit upon the world layout of the Toy Story world. So let's just jump straight into the news and information. These first 2 snippets are from the Dengeki interview, following up with the 3rd snippet from the Famitsu interview, which really gives us a good idea as to the actual layout of this world. So the first part is coming from Dengeki, and it seems with Sora being toy-sized and battling outside the house, the world felt large. Nomura said with that size, it's not possible for them to go anywhere far. The main area in the Toy Story world is the toy shop. The footage showed a toy shop called Galaxy Toys, which is such a large area. Dengeki went on to say there are situations where Sora fights inside a robot. Nomura said the idea of controlling a robot has been around since early development. There are different types of robots you can board and each of their fighting styles are different. There is another gimmick on another floor. This final piece is from the Famitsu interview and it reads, there are other floors you'll be able to access. Nomura said, what we showed in the trailer this time was the opening sequences of the Toy Story world. But the main area of the world will be the toy shop. In this toy shop, there will be many sales floors. The floor you will be able to find the robots and mount them will be the floor that has them up for sale. In the toy shop, you'll be able to visit the various different sales floors and enjoy the respective gimmicks of each. So what we can take away from that is the Vic the Visitor shop, which is known as Galaxy Toys, will in fact be the main area and the main portion of the actual Toy Story world. This is probably where we're going to be spending most of our time. Nomura has explained that there is actually multiple floors within this shop. Now this image right here really gives us a good display of the different floors within the actual toy shop. Now within the trailer we actually only get to see one floor, and that's the floor where of course Gigas is located, the floor where we can actually mount the robot. Nomura said that on each different floor there is apparently going to be different gimmicks to utilize. Now we don't exactly know how many floors are actually within the toy shop itself, but this image shows us that there is at least 2 more extra floors to explore. Now I'm not going to say that there are only 2 extra floors within the toy shop, perhaps maybe there's 3 or 4 extra floors, but you guys notice like up the top of this screenshot we can actually see what looks to be a roof. So as of right now, I'm going to say that there's a total of 3 floors, that being the ground floor and 2 extra floors, but keep in mind I might be wrong. I think what's cool to know is on each floor there is going to be these different gimmicks to utilize, and we've already seen one of the gimmicks, that being Gigas, which is a robot that we can mount. He mentioned that the only floor in which you can actually use Gigas is the floor that's actually selling Gigas, and so it makes me think what other sort of gimmicks and cool little abilities will we be able to use on these different floors? I think these sort of things really improve upon world interaction, something that Kingdom Hearts 2 lacked a lot. And I know we've already talked about these whole gimmicky sort of things, so I won't say too much about it, but I really like the idea behind them. Now, it's kind of hard to depict exactly what we can expect when exploring these other floors. Now, let's look at the first floor, which we'll just call the red floor because of all the red that's going on. Now, we can actually see a lot of different balloons located on this floor, and on top of that, there is also a sign up saying action. Perhaps maybe the red floor will be somewhat centered around party-themed stuff. When looking at the second floor, which we'll call the blue floor, once again, it's hard to depict exactly what might be going on up here. Once again, we can't really see too much, but one thing that I did notice is for some reason they've got some sort of a city backdrop sort of theme going on up there. There's also some writing on this backdrop as well, but it's really hard to make out, so I have no idea what it's saying. Now, of course, we're gonna have to somehow be able to make our way up to these multiple different floors within the shop, and I think the way that we're actually gonna do this is by using the space capsule, which is this kind of like pod thing right in the middle of the shop. From the looks of it, we can actually enter this as there's like a little doorway sort of thing, and it would appear that when entering this, it will most likely just send us inside the actual pod itself, and perhaps maybe shoot us up to those little rail-looking things that are clearly actually coming out of it. Now, we do know that flow motion is going to be returning in Kingdom Hearts 3, and we have already seen different scenes of Sora actually using the grind function, which is a part of the athletic flow within Kingdom Hearts 3. So I'd say this is actually going to be the method in which we'll use to access these other floors. The other thing that I came across as well is this door right here, which actually looks like an elevator of sorts. There is actually a 1 labeled right over the door, which might actually indicate the first floor or ground floor. And one thing that I was thinking is the yellow sort of squares that's above the 1, perhaps maybe those might actually represent the different floors. Going back to it, it still looks like there's only 2 extra floors above the ground floor. Once again, I might be wrong and there could be multiple. I think what I'm most interested in as of right now is most certainly Andy's house. First things first, the outside area. Now, Tetsuya Nomura said that you cannot explore all of it, which I think sends us the message that in terms of going, you know, across the road to like all of the other houses, or just simply actually walking down the actual street itself, I don't think we're going to be able to do that. Which is sort of strange because, as you guys can see, in this scene right here, it looks like we can just walk outside, like past the driveway onto the road. So do you guys think that perhaps maybe Square Enix will put in a system like an invisible wall system that will restrict the player from actually leaving the property of Andy's house? It would also appear that if we have something like glide from the roof, we might also be able to jump over to the neighbor's section. But once again, I think that Square Enix will most likely end up implementing an invisible wall. The other thing that I'm really interested to know is exactly how do we make our way to Galaxy Toys? I don't think we're just going to be walking down the road to get there. And in the sense, Kingdom Hearts 3's worlds aren't really open world to the point where there's no load times whatsoever. As we've seen with worlds like Olympus Coliseum, there's clearly 3 different areas. One being Mount Olympus, the other one being Olympus itself up in the clouds, and on top of that, Thebes as well. I don't think we're going to be walking from Thebes all the way to Mount Olympus, then from Mount Olympus going all the way up to the top, then into the clouds. There will most likely be load times between these areas. But when looking at the areas, they are on the scale of very big open world areas. And so yeah, I think the way that we'll probably make our way to something like the toy shop will be via a load screen. The last thing I want to talk about is Andy's actual house. Now, I know a lot of people are sort of thinking, well, you know, maybe we might be able to explore all of the different areas within the house as well. So for instance, areas like the kitchen, the bathroom, the lounge. We do know that Andy's house is pretty expansive. Now, when looking at the gameplay section of when Sora is within Andy's room, you can see that the door that leads from Andy's room into the house is actually shut. One thing that I did pick up on though is if we look at the door that I believe leads into Andy's closet, you guys will notice that the door looks slightly open. Whereas if we actually look at the door that leads into the house, it appears that that door is actually completely shut. Maybe we can actually smack this door to swing it open. I think it's going to be a situation of, in terms of the house itself, the only areas that we're going to be able to explore will most likely just be Andy's room. From there we can actually jump out the window to explore the section, but I think that's as far as it goes. With Nomura actually mentioning that Galaxy Toys is really the main center of the world and where we'll be spending most of our time, I would say that the areas surrounding Andy's house will be very, very minimum. But guys, that's all the Kingdom Hearts 3 news and information for today. Hopefully this video has given you guys a really good perspective of what you can sort of come to expect when exploring the Toy Story world. I'm sure that there's still a lot of different areas and locations within the Toy Story world that we're still yet to see. We do know that the worlds within Kingdom Hearts are going to be absolutely massive, and so it will be interesting to see exactly what other areas we can go to within this world. However guys, leave your thoughts and opinions in the comment section down below. I've been Cynical, and until next time guys, I'll catch you later. Peace.